dealing with the IRS stresses you out. Fortunately, IRS Problem Relief can help you resolve back taxes and represent you to the IRS so you don't have to face them alone. Last year, IRS Problem Relief saved clients drowning in tax debt. And IRS Problem Relief is a local company right here in Panama City, not some 800 number where you can never talk to the same person twice. Put those problems behind you so you can focus on moving forward. Call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief, 850-784-8176. For a free consultation, call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief. It's 850-784-8176 or visit irsproblemrelief.com.
It's time for a new kitchen from Kitchen Designs. Kitchen Designs in Panama City Beach and Santa Rosa Beach offers full-service cabinets, countertops, and flooring, plus cash and carry cabinets available the very next day. Kitchen Designs has been family-owned and operated for over 20 years. Visit their showroom at 7934 Front Beach Road and on Lynn Drive in Santa Rosa Beach. Or call Kitchen Designs, 850-775-4160.
Lynn Haven, W Field, Q Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Let's go!
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
How are you not freaking out right now?
Good to the last drop flavor.
There's no need to fear.
The Underdogs are here. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Keep making noise! Keep making noise! Yeah!
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now back in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 right here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with James Fife and nobody else. Coach Brian Haddad will be back not this next coming Monday, but the Monday following that. Hopefully all of you guys out there enjoyed your weekend. We are going to be doing our best and worst of the sports weekend here in this opening segment. So if you have any, call in with them or text them in to 850-215-6290. That's 850-215-6290. Lots of great stuff going on. Atlanta Braves are back and not looking so great to the start of the second half of the season. Max Fried hitting the IL. Ozzie Albies hitting the IL with a fractured wrist. So those are not good signs. I guess the positive is Nacho Alvarez is going to be playing tonight, batting second. I believe playing second as well, filling in for Ozzie Albies. And they've got the Reds coming to town, so hopefully they can bounce back, at least get 2 of the next 3 in this series. Coverage starts tonight at 6 p.m., first pitch at 6:20. We've been having our fantasy football signups. We are now filled to the brim with 36 total players. So if you'd like to join the waiting list, because life does happen, so not all 36 of these individuals will be able to show up. If you'd like to join the waiting list, send your email and your name to 850-215-6290 for our live fantasy football draft. That is going to be at the home of James' new employment, home of employment, PCB Hobby, August 25th. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. That's a Sunday evening. I've got my first fantasy football draft. It's an auction draft coming up this Sunday. So very early to hold a live draft, but it's one of those situations where all of the guys, there were so many dates that were closer to the season that we just weren't going to be able to make happen. So we're going to have an auction draft here July 28th.
It seems more like real to me if you do it that way, because NFL teams have already signed everybody, so they're all taking a chance at having preseason injuries. Why not the fantasy fan?
Because it's a fantasy, and you want to have
to have fun in my fantasy.
You want to have the best fantasy that you possibly can, right? So it is one of those issues, but man, it's hard to believe that by the time we get to next Monday, that'll be the 29th, that Thursday, I believe, is the Hall of Fame game.
Hall of Fame game next Thursday.
My goodness.
We are rolling into it, man.
And that's going to be what the Bears and the Texans. They were
Texans and
talking.
Bears.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
they were talking a little bit about that on the Dan Patrick show today as I was driving into work. So, really cool stuff there. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to that game. You've got the second-year quarterback, and we're not going to see much of these guys. It's all, but second-year guy and C.J. Stroud. Do you think we see C.J. Stroud?
You'll see C.J. Stroud for at least 1-2 possessions. I don't think anything past that. Now, we might see Caleb Williams for 3 or 4. We won't. Still not going to see him for a super long time because the Bears are still going to use him as a starting quarterback game 1. So they're not going to, have an extra chance injury for Caleb in the 4th preseason game because now we only get regular 3 preseason games now, right? So with the Hall of Fame game, those teams do 4. So
yeah,
I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of them.
I think 3 to 4. If we were going to do an over under, let's say 6.5 series, I would be comfortable in the under there.
Oh, I'd smash it.
I could see maybe 5 series, but I'm more in agreement with you, siding with you there. 3 or 4 series. I think that he needs more. To be quite frank, yeah, the injury side of it is one thing, but at the end of the day, I think that you should, with only 3 preseason games, be getting as many snaps as you can, especially as a young man in the league. Even a guy like C.J. Stroud, I would go a whole quarter with my quarterback in the first series in the first game, preseason game, because we're not allotted that 4th preseason game. And then the next game, I would go about a whole half, and then in the 3rd and final preseason game, I'm probably going three quarters with you.
We don't have the dress rehearsal game anymore.
Right.
When we had the four games, we saw game number 3 usually being the dress rehearsal where you would see all of the starters out there until half to sometime into the 3rd quarter. But since we have dropped down to 3 games for the preseason, I've not really actually seen a true game like that. I've always seen... It's been basically like game 1 constantly where they're just, all right, starters in, starters out. Now we're just going to roll through everybody else to see who else makes it. And I get why they're doing it. You have less of an opportunity to actually see these guys in a game and see what they're available to do, what they can do. So you're going to see those guys because those are the guys in those games that are at the back end of the roster that are trying to fight for the roster spot. We already know who's going to be on the roster for these teams. So I kind of do miss the whole game where you got to see the starters for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, man. And I think that it's a reason why we get into the NFL season and we're seeing so many injuries. And is it turf? Is it grass? Why are we seeing these injuries? Well, I think it's because these guys are just going a while without being hit, and then they go from 0 to 100 rather than kind of working their way up from 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and then 75 to 100.
Hasn't the recent CBAs also cut down on the number of practices which you can have hitting?
I believe so. I don't know that to be fact off the top of my head.
And for me, that's another thing is you get used to getting hit.
Yeah.
You also remember, I haven't been hit in 5 months. This is how I take a hit.
Right.
And so now guys aren't getting it, and they get out to the field when dudes are actually trying to run through them and run them over because it is a game that makes a difference to how much money they make, and boom, you on the ground hurt.
And it's a lot different when you've got your teammates coming for you in practice, especially when it's 1v1s and not, the practice squad or the 3s going up against the 2s and the 3s going up against the 1s. When you've got another team coming after you, that changes the whole parameter, if you will. And also, then when you get into the regular season, it's a whole nother level of speed that they're walking into. 45 days away from the start of the regular season. Chiefs and Ravens, man, the closer we get, the more I'm looking forward to that game.
Way too early predictions. Who you got?
Way too early, man. It's tough because Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, not having the greatest regular season last year, losing game 1 to Detroit last year to start off the regular season. I want to lean Baltimore, but I think that the wide receiving core for the Chiefs this year is going to be atrociously underrated to start the season. I think that they might have the best wide receiving core when it comes to speed. And this is without knowing, is Rashee Rice actually going to be a part of that? But with the addition of Hollywood Brown, with the drafting of Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce's still there. So if he's healthy and you get those guys taking the defensive backs deep, and Travis Kelce can kind of stay underneath, I mean, they could be very dangerous. And what was another dangerous part of their offense last year? Isaiah Pacheco?
Yeah.
I mean, my heart is riding with the Ravens in that game, but still my mind, it could be 21-0 at halftime, and that's just a team you can't count out. What about for you, early predictions?
My way to early predictions is I actually think the Ravens have the favorability in game one, even though they will be on the road. I think they're going to come out more motivated to take on last year's champs to show, hey, we're here, we're going to take it far. Look at our fancy new piece in Derrick Henry.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that duo, that combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Paul Koharski, who I believe writes for the Titans in some way, shape, or form, he was on Twitter saying that if you're a Titans fan, you can't be rooting for Derrick Henry. You can't be even if you want success for Derrick Henry, you can't be rooting for them because you should never want the Ravens to win, because the Ravens are a rival of the Titans.
Deep rival, yeah.
But it's also one of those situations where, for me, it cuts a little bit deeper than just the Tennessee Titans. The Titans did try, because, his time there with Alabama, the Titans also tried to trade him last year, but weren't going to get enough, what they deemed to be enough, out of the, oddly enough, it was going to be the Ravens who they were going to trade him with, or trade him to. But the Titans are moving to a different direction. Their offense is going to be totally different. For me, I want success for Derrick Henry. If the Titans, when the Titans are playing the Ravens, obviously I'm going for the Titans, and I don't want Derrick Henry to get over 100 yards. But for the time that Derrick Henry spent with this organization, I do want him success, or I do wish him success, and also he's got a better opportunity. Let's be realistic about the expectations that we have for this Tennessee Titans team. As a fan, you can sit there and be dumb and say, yeah, I hope we go 11-6 or whatever.
Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, okay, yeah, or all the way to the Super Bowl. And that's fair. And the fan side of me wants that. But as the realistic side of me is, I look at the quarterback that we have in Will Levis, and he had some success last year. He was also wildly inconsistent. It would be one game up, one game down, one game up, one game down. So and I don't care who you put back there. If the offensive line ain't going to block for the man, then he has a very low chance of success. Now, I do like what Ran Carthon has done on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, we've actually got one of the top 10, I think, when it comes to amount being paid to the wide receiving cores. We've got a decent wide receiving core over there. Now, the biggest question is, are they going to be able to stay healthy? Traylon Burks, DeAndre Hopkins, can those guys stay healthy? Is Calvin Ridley going to fit into this offensive scheme? And who's the guy that they got from Cincinnati to run the slot?
Not Higgins.
No, it's definitely not Higgins. That would make them one of the better. That would make them one of the best wide receiving cores in the league. But yeah, with the addition of the guy that they got from Cincinnati, the Titans can be a fun team. They could be a thorn in the sides of other teams. The AFC South is still, as much hype as there is around the Houston Texans, the AFC South is still a winnable division by any four of the teams, if we're being honest about it. So, definitely I do have a soft spot for maybe not so much the Ravens, but for Derrick Henry. And a byproduct of that is wanting success for the Baltimore Ravens this year.
But that's a good old PK article. Paul Koharski always likes to write things like that because he likes to get the fans inflamed and argue with them. I just think that's his king.
That's his king. I like that. We are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Not on Twitter anymore, but we're back on Twitch. You can like and share the Facebook feed for us. Follow us over there on Twitter, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also download the app and register 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. As I mentioned earlier, the Braves and the Reds, first pitch tonight, 6:20. Coverage starts right after the Afternoon Underdogs. We are going to have a best of segment going off at 5:40 today. I've got playoffs over there in Lynn Haven to play a little softball tonight, and first pitch is at 6:15, so I got to hustle over there, and it's always fun battling the traffic. Hunter Green going for the Reds, Reynaldo Lopez going for the Bravos, Nacho Alvarez making his Braves debut, and as we mentioned, NFL season only 45 days away, 32 days away from Florida State and Georgia Tech. Best and worst of the weekend. James, let's start with you while I'm pulling up our best and worst of the weekend posts so we can go over what they got for us today. But what do you have?
So what I saw this weekend is I did watch the Dodgers play the Red Sox last night, and watching Ohtani bomb that ball in the sixth inning where
473.
It barely stayed in the park. Not in the yard, barely stayed in the park. And that was number 300 home run for Shohei Ohtani. So that's one of my best
do you
weeks.
think he gets close to Barry Bonds? I mean,
no, he started too late.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I mean, if we want to count his Japanese home runs, I'm fine with that. And yes, he will get incredibly
I'm
close.
not okay with that.
But I don't think that he's going to, in the amount of time that he's going to have, be able to catch Barry. I think he'll get to 500. I think he'll even hit 550.
Yeah.
I'm 550 to 600. That's where I probably see him.
Yeah. So right around Albert Pujols, but not getting to a good old 762.
Nah, I don't see him getting to 700. I don't really see him probably getting past 6, especially if they're going to get him back into pitching again.
See, that's what I was going to say. I know that they want him for both sides of the ball, but
I just don't see it happening.
This guy,
it's too much. That bat is worth so much, especially on a team like the Dodgers where they do have the pitching.
What channel did you watch the game on last night?
I was on ESPN regular.
Okay, because they had the StatCast version, which is the first time that they've done something like that in 3 years, 2021, and it was neat. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it because I'm more of an eye test guy more than the analytics. I do think that the analytics play a huge role, but I think sometimes they're overwhelming, especially for fans. But they had some cool stuff where it was showing what the pitch probability would be, the hot zones for the batter and the pitcher. My issue with it was that it was up the whole time, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish that it would be something like maybe, but it also makes sense why it's up the whole time because it's giving you a different pitch probability each time, and the probability, the damage zones that they were, the hot zones, they were showing that for different pitches and whatnot. So it was interesting. I don't know if I would watch many more broadcasts like that.
I mean, I like things like that, but I just go to the Savant website to basically get that.
Exactly.
And I actually like opening the Savant website while I'm watching the game and just go back and forth that way. It's just, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just old and I just want to see it, not even written down in front of me because I'm reading it off a computer screen, but at least in typed form for me. All right, let's see. My other one of my favorites of the weekend is the WNBA taking the win over the women's Olympic team.
Yeah.
That was big to me. That was a big show. 117
to 109. Awaganbale, I'm sure I'm not saying that.
Points.
34 points. You know how many points she had going into halftime?
No.
0.
That's pretty
0
good second
points,
half.
21 points in the third quarter, and then 13 there, which is also like second most points all time in any WNBA game for a single half. On top of that, this is not a bad sign. Now, this is the worst of the weekend for me as well, right? That, Team USA should be winning that game. However, the last time that the WNBA versus USA game was played, when the Team USA was headed to the Olympics, they did lose. This was in 2021, I believe. They did lose to Team WNBA, but then they went on to win gold. So there is that aspect of it.
So you're saying they just need to get it out of the system before they show up?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that there's going to be. I think you could take Team WNBA. Provided that they're all Americans, put them into the Olympics, and I think they'd have.
They do well.
Like if you let Team USA put 2 teams into the Olympics, that might be your gold medal game.
No, that'd be a gold, silver. Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah.
And we're gonna be see old Brittany Griner.
Brittany.
First time back in the Team USA. I think.
First time for Team USA.
Her new nickname is Pops, I believe. All right, let me stop there.
Don't get her too far east of France, though.
Oh, we got some good comments we need to get back to talking about the NFL, but we've got a lot of best and worst to get into. Real quick, let's go to the ones from the Post. Barrett's best and worst. His son scored 4 touchdowns in 4 different ways, and his worst, USA basketball. That was embarrassing. I think for him, he was talking about Team USA, the men's team, winning by 1 point against South Sudan. Interesting enough, South Sudan, which is basically a team made up of refugees, that country is not very old at all. They don't even have any indoor basketball courts as well. It's all outdoor basketball courts for them. One of their players came out and said, so how about that? Johnny Yankee Seed says best was Jordan Alvarez getting a cycle for his fantasy team and then sliding into the last playoff spot with 1 week left to go. They have a short season, so it ends before football. And the worst was Jake Paul in this garbage sideshow that seems to not want to go away. We'll get right back to that after Kyle writes best and worst. The Red season is officially over, so that's his best and worst. Did you have an opportunity to see any highlights or watch the fight of Jake Paul and Mike Perry?
No, I gave no care about it at all whatsoever. It was a fight set up for Paul and Tyson, right?
Yeah.
And then Tyson had the stomach ulcer issue,
Right.
so he couldn't go out there and do it. So Jake Paul goes out and fights some guy that is 40 pounds less than him.
Yeah.
You're fighting somebody not in your weight class that's a lower weight class than you, and you're still having to talk smack.
I think they
man.
weighed in at 206 when they did, but then they had a couple of days afterwards to gain all of that walking weight back. I will say this: it's the sport of boxing in general has turned into more entertainment than what it was back in the day. I would say in general, but I think that the stuff that we get pushed on us is more of an entertainment thing, because that's what the people are paying for. I am not going to sit here and knock the hustle of Jake Paul. Like what him and his brother honestly are doing in the world of sports, if you will, is impressive. Now, however, the reality of it is Jake Paul is 0-1 against a professional boxer that loss coming against Tommy Fury, right? Tyson Fury's younger brother. Ever since then, none of the matchups have been, they're not in the same weight class. They don't even look the same. So it would be interesting to see him taking on. And even when we got Mike Tyson, I think that's coming up in November or so. That one's still, come on. Mike Tyson is 60 years old.
It's a joke fight. It's not meant to be anything real.
But I did watch the fight, though. I did watch the fight. I got home from softball around 11 o'clock, and so that fight was getting ready to go, and I was just dog tired. Didn't even want to play college football 25. In fact, you can kind of hear I don't know what I'm dealing with, some sort of infection or whatever, but yesterday for me, I was just all day on the couch coughing and whatnot. So I did watch the fight. I will say the kid can throw hands. There's no doubt about that. Like each fight that I've seen from him, he does look like a better boxer. However, it's hard to look at it and be like, and know that it's like an NFL team going up against a college football team, or an NFL team playing against the USFL or an XFL team. You know what I mean? It's hard to say, oh, he's really good, because the level that he's going up against just isn't to the same level. Like the guy Mike Perry is a bare knuckle fighter. His whole game plan was stepping up and kind of just like, all right, I'm gonna bait you in to throwing punches at me. And then whenever he started tasting the punches from Jake Paul, I was like, oh, okay, that's I don't think I was ready for that. And then also right after, Conor McGregor, I guess, owns or runs the bare knuckle fighting championship, and so Mike Perry was let go after that.
Yeah, Connor wrote a nice long tweet about it too.
He's been on the tweet game lately.
He's doing it, man.
Yeah.
He's got to promote it somehow.
He absolutely does. He's even said a couple of things about Habib or Khabib, however you want to pronounce it, and since deleted those tweets. But we ain't got no more time for it. We'll get back to some of the other best and worst of the weekends today at 4:40. But you want to stay tuned for the next segment. RJ Starcevic, we're going to go around the track with him, talking about what went down at the Brickyard 400 yesterday afternoon. And then at 4:40, Nick Castellanos has a tendency to hit a home run on important or maybe just dates that have some significance to them, as he did yesterday. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Keep it locked in to ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. A variety of mostly sunshine and a chance of thunderstorms the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze at 10 miles per hour out of the south-southwest and temps near 88. Tonight we will have a possibility of thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and be quite warm at 82. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus. Discover the most convenient way to buy men's clothing. Pierce Bespoke. Whether it's custom or casual, they come to you to take the hassle out of shopping. If buying off the rack doesn't work for you, let Pierce Bespoke show you how to get the perfect fit. Call Pierce Bespoke to schedule your appointment. 251-278-8270. That's 251-278-8270.
You want a big-time sports show? Tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're live and local here.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
We need one more SEC team in there to shake things up.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. We've got a lot of chatting going on about Jake Paul in the chat right now. And this is exactly why these fights continue to get the build up. And maybe, who knows if DAZN is actually reporting the correct numbers and all of that good stuff. It's really not something that piques my interest that much. And I honestly forget about these fights half the time until I'm like getting notifications that the fights are about to start. But it's to me, I do not think at all Kyle Albritton is saying that he took a dive. Mike Perry took a dive. I mean, I think that maybe you could say that he took a dive if their weight classes were a little bit more similar there, but that's neither here nor there. We don't got time to chat about it now. We'll chat more about that at 4:40. We're going to go around the track with RJ Starcevic, who is the host or the creator of the NASCAR Report. You can find that on Instagram. Make sure you go give him a follow over there. RJ, my man, what's going on, brother?
Nothing too much. Just still digesting what was a fun Brickyard 400 weekend and raining here in Tampa, like usual. How about you guys?
Oh man, so you had your one day of sunshine last Monday, and then it got right back to your normalcy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we usually get one day, and then the next 6 will be pouring rain. So
now, is it all day rain, or is it peaks of sunshine and then back to rain? How's it been?
I feel like it's been alternating. Like, we'll have some days where it's just pouring all day, and then there will be some like days where it's sunny one moment, pop-up showers, sun showers. Get a lot of sun showers for sure, as I'm sure you guys know. But yeah, it alternates. Honestly, we get it all.
Yep, no doubt. Well, give us a recap of what went down at the Brickyard 400. I'm sure we have some things to unpack after the recap as well.
Oh, yeah, a lot to unpack. But, the biggest storyline was our prestigious Brickyard 400 returning, after, for the first time since 2020, returning to the Oval. And, the racing product was kind of exactly what I expected. It's not going to be the most interesting race in the world, but, obviously the guys on the track in NASCAR hope to counteract that with some strategy, which we saw, as well as some of the great storylines throughout the Cup Series field. So, it all kind of came to fruition at the end of the race, where we saw a lot of differing strategies, guys who were definitely going to run out of fuel at the finish, some guys that were trying to save to be able to make it, and then there was guys like Kyle Larson who put themselves in the back of the pack, a race where all race it was very hard to pass, and he puts himself back there, guaranteed had enough fuel for the finish, drives up, passes everybody, and it was going to be, we still don't know what the finish would have been like if it would have ran green. I think he probably would have made it to the front, but cautions start coming out. Kyle Busch, who was running sixth, crashes. Then we get some overtime restarts, but ultimately leads to Kyle Larson getting the victory, and so now he has 3 of the 4 crown jewels in NASCAR. He's won at Charlotte, Darlington, and now he's won at Indianapolis, as well as a guy that ran the Indy 500, Coke 600, earlier in the year, didn't really have the success he wanted, kind of redeems himself with a Brickyard 400 win.
Yeah, man. So, wow, lots to unpack there as well. Ryan Blaney coming out saying basically NASCAR set that up by letting Kyle Larson up to the front for the golden boy of NASCAR. Does he have a point with NASCAR letting Kyle up to the front after Brad Keselowski ran out of gas?
Yeah, obviously in that moment he was very angry. I went back and watched or listened to his radio today, and yeah, he was definitely very animated in the moment. He still said in his interview, what he feels NASCAR should do, and he feels NASCAR should waive off the restart and have them re-choose if something like that happens. For me, I think he definitely, had the right to be animated, right? It was something where he's getting ready to start the outside in second. All of a sudden, the third place car now comes up, and Ryan Blaney technically was the control car. Now, I haven't watched the restart too much. I know some people were able to watch it, and it was still kind of a battle between whether Kyle Larson may have jumped the restart or not, considering he was then the new second place car. But I think it's just one of those moments where, ball strike call. I think, Keselowski pulls off, and Blaney has to know in that moment, hey, I'm the control car, and he's got to launch. And now if Kyle Larson did jump that restart truly, obviously that's a different story. But I think, I don't think there really was any other way to officiate it besides maybe calling off the restart. But even that, I think it's just one of those moments where you got to be on your toes, knowing what those guys' fuel situations are. Obviously unprecedented. Brad Keselowski comes to pit road, but definitely something where Blaney was upset at what happened because he feels that probably ruined his chance of winning the race.
How mad did Brad Keselowski have to be with, who's more at fault there? Is that the driver for maybe not trying to conserve fuel, or did the crew chief get it wrong? Who's at fault for running out of gas this late into a race?
Yeah, it seemed interesting because they were on a strategy where they knew at the beginning they probably weren't going to have enough fuel. They were saving all that they could because they were in the lead, and they knew the people behind them weren't saving as well. But it seemed like on that final caution they were going to opt to come down pit road, or at least the crew chief thought that he should. But Brad Keselowski ended up staying on the track, at least for that time being, kind of being like, man, I'm in the lead of the Brickyard 400. Like, it's got to be so hard to pull off there. But I think it definitely was a smart move to, if they really felt like, yeah, our fuel's gone, or he felt it running out, because if he would have taken off, ran out of fuel, he would have been stopped on the track, and that would have been a caution, or, well, we think it would have been a caution. He just felt like he should come down pit road, get it fueled up, which I think was the smart decision there.
Who was a driver with low expectations that ended up having an impressive finish at the Brickyard 400?
Yeah, I got to go with good old Todd Gilliland. He got himself a sixth-place finish. He was running up, restarted in the top 4 on the final restart, ends up salvaging a sixth-place finish under caution. But a guy that started 24th, obviously was likely still going to need a win to get in the playoffs, but really putting himself in a lot of great points positions here late in the year. Somebody that I'm sure is going to be a threat next year.
And on the flip side of that, a driver with high expectations who end up having a disappointing finish yesterday.
Well, This seems like beating a dead horse, but Kyle Busch was running in the 6th position, man, with I think it really was 2 laps to go, 2 or 3 laps to go. I mean, coming to the finish, and goes to make a move on the inside of Denny Hamlin and spins himself out. Got tight on the inside, and he made an aggressive move to get from 6th to 5th, which I definitely get it in that moment. But I think a racer's going to race. But, looking back on it in that position, he really's got to win races. And so the difference between 5th and 6th is not a ton. But, I mean, the difference from 6th to 25th is a lot. So they were running well, man. They had it all set up at the Brickyard. Kyle Busch was going to get himself possibly a top 5, and they wrecked race car, and a 25th place finish.
Oh, so did he get a DNF then?
Yeah. Technically he was running at the end of the race, but the car was beat up. He was able to finish the race in 25th. Like, he finished ahead of Ryan Preece, who crashed and ran out of fuel on the last lap. He finished ahead of Truex and Eric Jones as well. But, going from 6th to 25th and then a beat-up race car, he was pretty much just limping it kind of to the end of that race.
Yeah, because I think I remember him wrecking yesterday. I fell asleep like right towards the end of the race, man. Not that the race was boring at all. I just played softball all day Saturday and woke up kind of not feeling very well, got under the weather, still feeling not so great this afternoon. So I was tired and ended up taking that nap there, right, and missing the best part of the race. But so when I'm looking on NASCAR.com, it said that he finished running. So my next question for you was: Is it a successful day now for Kyle Busch if he actually ends up finishing a race?
Yeah, I think that's a success for them to be able to, finish a race. Obviously, I think finish a race is step 1, but they want to finish a race in the top 15 or top 10. That's when they can feel like they've actually made progress. So it's been a rough go for them. They are sitting now in the 100s, 112 points back of the playoffs, so he's going to have to win, after the Olympic break.
How do you think it felt for Kyle Larson to finish 18th at the Indy 500? Then he wasn't able to finish the Coke 600 because of the rain delay, lightning delay. Then he comes back and is able to win in a dramatic finish yesterday. How do you think that felt for him and his team?
Yeah, I think definitely a relief for him. I think him as a driver is going to feel a little bit different than the team. I know the team obviously has sentiment for him being there at the Coke 600, the race that he didn't, even get to step in the race car for because of the weather. But definitely a relief for him. I know he said that this pretty much does make up for what May was. Obviously, he still has a goal, and that's to race in the Indy 500, and if not win, get a good result, But I think it definitely was a sigh of relief for him to be able to go to Indianapolis in that same car, right, same paint scheme as the Coke 600. They brought it back, as a sentiment to that race, to pay tribute to it, and he goes out there and he wins the race, so he gets to kiss the bricks for the first time, so I think that definitely made it up for him.
There you go. A great race in the Xfinity Series. Give us a recap for that one.
Yeah, what a finish. I mean, it was, a race that had its ups and downs at the beginning, kind of moved slowly, just like the Cup Series race, but towards the end, that's where the thrilling part was. So, I mean, if you guys were able to see that finish, it was insane. It came down to Cole Custer, who was leading there up until the end. Riley Herbst, his teammate, both Stewart-Haas Racing teammates, got to him, got to the inside, and then all of a sudden, here comes Eric Almirola, makes it 3 wide on the outside. Herbst is still able to regroup and get by Almirola for the spot. Custer got by Almirola for third. Herbst was sideways in the final corner, literally drifted it through the corner, at 150 plus miles per hour to get the win and kiss the bricks. So really cool for Riley Herbst, a guy that's likely going to be moving up to the Cup Series next year, likely with Denny Hamlin's team at 2311. But big confidence boost for him. But yeah, nonetheless, another tremendous Xfinity Series finish over there.
Yeah, and what is it? Are the car packages, are they running the next-gen car in the Xfinity Series or not?
No, so it's a totally different race car, and that's honestly what I and a lot of people love about the Xfinity Series. Is what the Xfinity Series runs is just the old stock car, right? They got a lot less grip in those cars. The cars slide around a little bit more. You're going to see racing in the Xfinity Series like you saw, in the 2000s and even the 2010s. The Cup Series ended up going to lower horsepower, 550 back then, and big spoilers. That didn't cause good racing. But in the Xfinity Series, you got low spoilers, you got more horsepower, you got 650 horsepower in those cars, and the downforce is a lot different than the Cup Series as well. So it just creates tremendous racing, and if you're somebody that really likes that good old stock car racing where those guys are able to go and slide around and lift a little bit more, the Xfinity Series is just where it's at. They put on a show every week.
Do you think the Cup Series made the wrong move by going to the next-gen car?
There's so many logistics that go into it, and I know there's a lot of people that say, the next-gen car saved the Cup Series. I personally don't think that at all. I think NASCAR's done a lot in the marketing realm. I think drivers have done a lot where NASCAR has kind of been able to take off again. I don't think the next-gen car was a big factor in that, but I definitely would love to see the Xfinity car in the Cup Series. I didn't think that. My standpoint really summed up is just I didn't think the next-gen car was extremely necessary, at least the way it's built, because a lot of people say it's kind of like a road course car that we put on ovals. It does create great racing, but at the end of the day, I'm still riding with the Xfinity Series, man.
Hey, there you go. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with the creator, the founder, the owner of the NASCAR Report. You can find that on Instagram. So we've got a 2-week break. That's because of the Olympics. I'm assuming that's because this is the portion of the year that NBC is going to be running the Olympics. So if this was, if they were still on Fox, would we be having this 2-week break?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a meet in the middle kind of thing where
Gotcha.
It's like, we used to have 1 week off early in the season, 1 week off maybe somewhere else where it kind of, give people that break. But once we moved into racing on, Mother's Day, Father's Day, race on Easter, that week off kind of went away, and so they kind of were like, okay, NBC's broadcasting. You know what? Let's meet in the middle here. We'll send everybody from NBC to the Olympics. We don't have to worry about airing NASCAR, and we can give people this 2 weeks off. So I think it was kind of meet in the middle kind of thing. I know obviously us fans we're gonna miss our racing. There'll be some stuff at local tracks going on during the week still, but I think a lot of people in the industry, the drivers, are kind of relieved to see a break here. I know some people are getting married. Daniel Suarez is getting married. Everyone's going to have a nice little vacation here for these next 14 to 20 days, and then we'll be back over at Richmond when we come back.
All right. Well, let's since we don't have a course to preview and get into your top 3, let's talk about your top 5 drivers in RJ's high-powered rankings.
Yeah, I'm leaving Kyle Larson up there at number 1. He's got the most wins this year. He's sitting at 4 wins. He's done a tremendous job. I'm putting him there. I think somebody like Ryan Blaney, I'm going to have to slot in there at 2. He just moved up to 5th in the overall point standings, but he's had a lot of speed lately, so have the Fords. I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin slotting in there in the 3rd position. Still competitive week in and week out. Obviously got taken out in the Brickyard 400, so was not able to get that win just yet, but those guys are still fast. Tyler Reddick, I think, probably could even be higher, but I think Tyler Reddick is just, runner-up finish after runner-up finish, it seems. He just got one at Indy as well, so he's just really under the radar, putting himself up there in great spots. And then I got to go with Chase Elliott. He just lost the overall points lead. They've had that quiet, consistent type of season, right? 1 win, but they're really up there in the regular season point standings, only 10 points behind Kyle Larson. That's those 15 extra bonus points on the line, so he's been doing pretty good as well.
Yes, sir. Well, do you want to take a break next Monday, or do you want to hop on with us and we can talk about some call-up candidates and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm down. Next Monday I'm free, especially since there's no racing. So I'm sure there'll be some things to unpack, maybe some silly season news that comes out we could talk about. Hopefully in the next few weeks, I think some announcements should be coming out, so we should have some spicy stuff to talk about. But yeah, there's still a lot to unpack. I'm sure we could come back next week and see where we're at.
Okay, RJ, so it is a break for the Olympics. Now, since we're taking a NASCAR break for the Olympics, which NASCAR driver is going to Paris, and what gold medal do they win?
Let's see. That's a good question. We got a lot going on over there in Paris. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is Denny Hamlin and basketball. He really loves his basketball. So maybe he could go over there and get a gold medal for basketball. But if there was a I know we like to talk about fights on here a lot. If there was a boxing Olympics, right, there's a lot of names we can throw into that hat. Famously, Ricky Stenhouse and Kyle Busch. KFP went on the Pat McAfee show and voiced his thoughts on that in a very humorous way. But Joey Logano, too. But, yeah, my first thing would have to think maybe some basketball with Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon. I know they all play together, Bubba Wallace. They like to hoop, so I could see that happening maybe.
I think Denny Hamlin could actually help the U.S. men's basketball team right now. I truly believe that because watching them play right now, I am not inspired.
Ooh,
yeah, I was about to say they just scraped by Germany, right? I was watching the beginning of that game.
No, they didn't even win.
I saw the game against South Sudan.
Yeah, they tied Germany.
Tied 100-100.
And then only beat South Sudan by 1 when they were favored by like 45 or something.
That's what we're going to do next week, RJ. We're going to chat a little bit about NASCAR and some other things, silly season, anything that you want to talk about, and I can look up for us. But then we're going to find out about the other sports and teams that you follow, my man.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Let's venture out.
All right. Hey, RJ, you take care, man. Enjoy. Get you an umbrella, and hopefully y'all get some sunshine soon.
Yes, sir. Hoping so. Appreciate it.
RJ Starcevic, ladies and gentlemen. He's the creator and the founder of the NASCAR Report. Go check that out on Instagram, man. He makes great graphics, does a great job. And if I got to remind you guys again, 19 years old. Great stuff there from RJ. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Little trivia, maybe some on this day, and back to some best and worst of the weekend when we get back. Oh, and some home runs by none other than Nick Castellanos.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
It's the best, easiest martial arts for the average person on the street to learn, protect themselves.
Jiu-jitsu, to me, I would think is the most important. The most important self-defense martial arts. It teaches you self-discipline. You can choose to hurt somebody, you can choose not to hurt somebody. Depends on their level of stupidity and what they want to do.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. A variety of mostly sunshine and a chance of thunderstorms the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze at 10 miles per hour out of the south-southwest and temps near 88. Tonight we will have a possibility of thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and be quite warm at 82. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
It's real and it starts now. Back to the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back in the doghouse. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. All you got to do is search ESPN Northwest Florida.
You okay there, man?
I told you, man. I've been dealing with this cough all daggum. Well, not all week. Yeah, no, all weekend, really. I think I got it from good old Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley on the Inside Drive last week, and Ryan is blaming Liam. So it's the circle of life, as they say. But, yep, Just a little flim and all that good stuff. We are your home for the Auburn Tigers here on the Panhandle. We heard you loud and clear. This season, ESPN Northwest Florida is going to be bringing every game. Oh, my goodness.
Every
James,
Auburn
take
game.
over. No, you might actually have to take over. Let's go to On This Day, my friend.
All right, let's go with On This Day. It is Monday, and it is July 22nd. Not a whole lot going on, but I will let you know. This day, 1923, the Washington Senators future Hall of Famer Walter Johnson becomes the very first pitcher in Major League Baseball to reach career strikeout number 3,000. This day, 1994, not sports, but has to do with an athlete.
Okay.
Former NFL running back and broadcaster and actor O.J. Simpson pleads 100% not guilty. And then we'll end it on this one because it's all I got. This day, 1997, Greg Maddux throws a complete game. Now, it's no surprise Greg Maddux throws a complete game. The surprise comes with it took him only 76 pitches for an entire 9-inning game.
Is that his lowest of all time? Do you know that?
That's the lowest complete game all time.
All time. Man, 76 pitches.
76 pitches to go through 27 batters. That's pretty good.
That's more than pretty good. That's I don't think they got an adjective to describe that right there.
I've seen dudes come out and throw 76 pitches in 3 innings nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that, don't it? It's like if you get to the 5th inning and you've got less than 100 pitches, it's like, my goodness,
you're staying in there a little longer.
This guy might get a complete game, which in these days, starting pitcher going 7 innings feels like a complete game.
It is a complete game nowadays. I mean, unless they're just going to change what a complete game is, they should just make 5 innings a complete game because, I mean, face it now, you get 2 chances through. You rarely see those guys 3 times anymore because of the good old sabermetrics.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, sorry. Sabermetrics is for hockey, isn't it?
No, sabermetrics is baseball.
Okay, yeah. We're using them both. Okay, good.
Do they use sabermetrics for hockey as well?
Yeah, they have a form of it. It's a little bit different in hockey, but basically you're looking for the same things. You're looking for this guy has this much time in the offensive zone, and when he's there, he has the puck this long, so it creates X number of more points and things like that.
Yeah, we got some good text on here. Johnny Yankee C is going to be on the air with us previewing what we've got going on the UFC this Friday. He says, I'm going to spray some Germex in your face if that's an issue on Friday. Kyle Olbritton says, having to talk about Auburn would make anyone sick. We are going to be playing those games, though. Kickoff on the plane starts August 31st versus Alabama A&M for your number 1 destination for college football and the Auburn Tigers right here, ESPN Northwest Florida. And then Adam Goff, pertaining to the Greg Maddux complete game, would say that is well below average. Our traffic jam, he's just, I would say AG's a little bit of a hater for Greg Maddux. He doesn't like some of the calls that he got. But I think, when you're a good pitcher.
When you're that great of a pitcher, you're historically that great. And back in the day when umpires basically were making, let's face it, back then umpires were making up their own strike zone.
Their own strike zone.
And most umpires were very consistent with that strike zone they enforced. But again, it was, hey, ump, was that a strike or not? And when you got guys going out there like Greg Maddux, oh, yeah, the umps are going to give it to him because of greatness.
Well, and then when you're a guy like Greg Maddux, who is deadly with your pinpoint accuracy, and you find out the ump is calling it two baseball lengths outside, especially to a right-handed batter, he's giving you 2 baseball lengths outside, then you're going to continue to master that and continue to take advantage of that spot there. So, yeah.
And the batters also knew. I mean, each batter knew what the umpires were calling because you saw the same umpires because you had National League umpires and you had American League umpires. Yep. So the National League guys knew all those guys because you saw them constantly. You never had to see, I would say Angel Hernandez, but Angel Hernandez was a National League umpire, so they did see Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, and also that kind of goes to Barry Bonds and great hitters also had maybe a little bit tighter strike zones as well, right? Like they would
could have been, yeah.
Yeah. So Johnny Yankee Seed says one of his favorite commercials was Greg Maddux saying chicks dig the long ball. I believe that was with Tommy Glavine as well. I believe Tom Glavine was in that commercial. That's a great one. The Atlanta Braves, I don't know if I mentioned this in the opening segment, but getting the Phillies sloppy seconds, adding utility man Whit Merrifield, which, hey, I'm not a huge fan of this. The Phillies paid him $9 million, I believe, at the beginning of the season. Didn't work out. They cut him right after the All-Star game. So the Braves are picking him up here. We'll see, man. I think it's one of those moves that it is what it is. You know, you've got to add depth.
You just lost Ozzie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you've got to have
Fractured
somebody
wrist.
that can do a utility role. I mean, it's not probably the best option out there, but it at least is a option that is available.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's see here. Traffic jam and trivia. Do we got time? Yeah. Which head coach has the highest winning percentage of all time in the SEC? Which head coach has the highest winning percentage of all time in the SEC? Call in 850-215-6290. And we're down to our waiting list for fantasy football. So if you'd like to be an extra just in case we need someone for our live draft, which will be August 25th, 6:30 at PCB Hobby, then you can text your name and your email to 850-215-6290. Trevor texting in 76 pitches over 27 outs, averages 2.8 pitches per out, less than 3 per batter every batter. So how about that, Trevor, with the quick mats, man. Appreciate you. Nick Castellanos and big date. Seems like when there's a date with some significance around it, Nick Castellanos goes yard. There was an apology for a homophobic slur used on a broadcast by Tom Brenneman, and Nick Castellanos hit a deep drive.
Drive to left center. Nick Castellanos, and that'll be the last home run that I call.
Man, they actually, I forget who it is, but there's a minor league baseball team out there, I believe, in Portland. Maybe they're not even minor league. They're just like a Savannah Bananas. I think they're the Portland Pickles or something like that. They've got that quote painted on a staircase.
Oh, I love it.
That just goes all the way down. Tom Brenneman is back. He got a new job yesterday. He's going to be calling football on football games for the CW network.
Well, he's got it.
4 years off, man. And again, there's been people who have said stuff that, and this was caught on a hot mic. It's not like he was trying to broadcast this. So there's that instance as well. But it's like, I don't, you slip up, you have a slip up. I don't think that should be your career handed to you.
I didn't even know that about Kansas City.
Right. So it was actually a fun fact. Oh, only around here could we maybe get away with that. We don't even know if we'll get away with it until later, right? Career-threatening injury for Tatis. So this is, I think this was still spring training when this happened, but this is when Tatis, I believe, the motorcycle incident, or was it a motorcycle?
Was it the motorcycle where he fell and broke his wrist?
Yeah, broke his wrist, I believe. Yeah, and that's a career. I mean, for the game of baseball, you hurt your wrist, that could be the end of your career. You got to throw a baseball
and you got to swing a bat. Both involve a wrist.
Some of these, because they're just so short, I don't necessarily remember all of them. Eulogy for a World War II veteran. He goes yard for that one. There was a 9/11 tribute video package on the air, and while that was going on, boom, home run. There was an apology. I don't remember this one at all. An apology of opposing team's coach getting a DUI. I should have tried to look that one up. 10 minutes after Will Smith said, "Keep my wife's name out your blankety blank mouth," right after he slapped Chris Rock, he goes yard. 10 minutes afterwards. How wild is that? After the death of Dwayne Haskins, or on the day of Dwayne Haskins' death, he went yard there. There was also another tribute package on the air. This time it was a Memorial Day tribute package. He goes yard in that game. There was a eulogy for the just deceased PA announcer for the stadium. He went yard on that date. There was a cancer announcement for his team's owner, and he went yard in that game. He goes deep after the death announcement of Vin Scully. About an hour after the death of Queen Elizabeth was announced, boom, home run. There was a bridge collapsing, killing several people. He went yard there. How about this one? We remember this one, right? The Ocean Gate submarine explosion. There were 3 other celebrity deaths that he went deep in. 2 home runs on the anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Then there was just, last Saturday, the Saturday before that, the assassination attempt on former President Trump. Then yesterday, we had President Biden withdraw from the race. He He went yard in both of those. And in fact, I had never really thought about these correlations. I remember when I was over at Kyle Wright's house for his birthday party on the day of the assassination attempt there, and he was like, man, Nick Castellanos did it again. I was like, what do you mean did it again? He was like, well, it seems like he went right back to the Tom Brenneman situation. And so thankful to Johnny Yankee Seed for sending me this list, but also this is the best to me. When he was at West Michigan, this was when it kind of all got started. He was at West Michigan, which is 8-ball. His first home run as a professional ball player was the day that Osama bin Laden was announced dead. So that's when it all got started. Did you have a note to add there, James?
No. The only thing I got is the Ocean Gate thing wasn't an explosion, but an implosion.
Yeah, explosion, implosion.
And, actually, for the DUI one, it was Castellanos. I just looked it up. It was Castellanos' first hit as a Philly, and it came against the Blue Jays.
Oh, so it was not technically
a home run. Was just a hit.
We gotta fact proof these fact check these lists every now and again, don't we? But the first home run on the day that Osama bin Laden was announced dead, that one wasn't even on the list. That was just from some great commenters. So you always gotta check the comments. Or these days, I guess if you're on Facebook, you can just check and tell you what you just look at what the AI says. The whole comment section is about. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We got 2 segments left. One with Steve Barnes and one with the owner of PCB Hobby, Todd Mueller, for the PCB Hobby Takeover. We'll be right back, y'all.
America's team plays here.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out. That's number 10.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Charlie Morton, Max Fried, and Chris Sale lead the Braves' dominant pitching rotation.
That's 18 up, 18 down.
Sponsored by Panama City Toyota, LS Agency Insurance, Bestway Portable Buildings, PCB Hobby, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Got him swinging, strike 3.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. A variety of mostly sunshine and a chance of thunderstorms the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze at 10 miles per hour out of the south-southwest and temps near 88. Tonight we will have a possibility of thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and be quite warm at 82. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Hartz Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Santa called and he asked me to help everyone get ready for Christmas and avoid the stress and rush. So we've stocked the store and slashed the prices. All colored gemstones have been reduced 50 to 70% off. Emeralds, rubies, sapphires, amethysts, blue topaz, tanzanites, opals, and many more. And we are offering free 6-month layaway. Tracy's Fine Jewelry takes the stress out of the holidays. So shop now where Santa shops during our Christmas and July sale at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is now hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in beautiful Panama City and 101.9 in beautiful Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with James Fife, and we are the Afternoon Underdogs. Atlanta Braves tonight is going to be at 6 p.m. First pitch tonight, 6:20. Reynaldo Lopez on the bump for the Braves. And it'll be Hunter Green tonight going for the Cincinnati Reds. Our next guest is Steve Barnes, as we normally have him with us here on Mondays. He's the senior writer for the RebelWalk.com. Steve, do we have some good news on Ole Miss Evie?
We have some great news. She had her back surgery today. She is on her way home with our quarterback guru, David Walker. And I have to say this right now, David is now my new favorite former Texas A&M football player, replacing Bubba Bean. I know you don't know who that is, but he was a great fullback too. But the cool thing is David was an all-conference quarterback at A&M, the All-Southwest Conference. Now, I know you and Bone Crusher are too young to remember the old Southwest Conference, but guess what? That was a big deal. When they won that, they went to the Cotton Bowl. So, yeah, he was still a stud back then. So thank you, David. And I will get a number 8 Texas A&M jersey somehow just to honor you.
Hey, there you go, man. You can get any kind of jersey that you want from old dhgate.com. I'll tell you what, though, that staff that you guys...
Nice little segue right there, brother.
Well, that's not even one of our sponsors. That's a Chinese website, but... It's where I get my jerseys from because I could spend like $20-25 to get customized jerseys, and they
and I'm getting you one too. Hey, David Walker, number 8.
There we go. But man, y'all have a stud staff over there. We had Leanne Herring on with us last week. You were on with us Monday, wrapping up actually getting us ready for SEC Media Days after the first day. But yeah, stud staff. David Walker over there as well. Maybe we got to try to get him on the show as well.
I'll tell you what. You will learn more about quarterbacking from him in 10 minutes than you will from ESPN in an hour. This man knows exactly what he's talking about. Just go back to our site, look up David. He will do some quarterback film room stuff, and you'll look at it and go, well, I never knew that. Why didn't I know that?
Definitely going to have to do that now. And yeah, I mean, when the lead quarterback analyst for ESPN is a guy who stepped out of the back of the end zone for the Detroit Lions on their way to 0-16. I don't think that is too hard to beat that. Not taking anything away from David Walker, but I'll say,
I think David wore number 8, and I think Orlovsky wore number 9. So I'll take 8 is greater than 9.
Yes, absolutely. Ole Miss was picked 4th in the SEC. Steve, to you, is that too high, too low, just right? What are you feeling there?
I think it's one too low. I would still say it's Georgia, Texas. Then I would say Ole Miss 3rd. Now this is going to get some ire for some people. I'll go Missouri 4, Alabama 5.
Okay. I don't necessarily have an issue with that.
I think Luther Burden is that good, and I think Brady Cook is that good. They're going to put up a bunch of points. The only thing with Missouri, can they stop people?
And that's going to be a question. And on that defensive side of the ball, they've got a kid from our backyard here that played football at Mosley last year, Cam Keys. So we'll see how that translates on the defensive side of the ball. I don't have an issue with that. I think that the things that Saban pointed out, the secondary for Alabama is going to be the suspect, the question mark for Alabama and the defense. Is Jalen Milroe going to be able to repeat the success that he had last year after getting off to a slow start? So I have no issue with that. They have Missouri at 5 and then LSU at 6. So I was definitely, am I right there that they have Missouri underneath LSU?
I believe so, but I just think Missouri's a better team overall. And I really love Eli Drinkwitz. I loved him when he was at Appalachian State, which killed me because they were playing against Troy every year. But when he got the job at Missouri, that's when I said, you better watch out for these people. They're going to start beating some people they're not supposed to beat, and they are going to win games.
Yeah, I cannot. Man, I'm so stoked for all of college football this season, but especially to see how this first year with Texas and Oklahoma plays out. All of the brutal schedules that are going to be within the SEC. And speaking of some SEC baseball, T.J. McCants has been picked up by the White Sox in the draft. Is that your new favorite team, Steve?
I'm a Braves guy. I'll always be a Braves guy, but since they came into the league, my American League team's always been Tampa Bay.
Yeah, same here.
But now I have to admit, that's 3 guys from the 2022 National Championship team at Ole Miss that are with the White Sox organization. Tim Elko and Jacob Gonzalez are both in Double-A at Birmingham. I don't think it's going to be long before T.J. McCants, who played center field and hit the first of the 3 home runs back to back against Oklahoma. I don't think it's going to be long before he gets up there. And if they get all 3 in the major leagues at the same time, isn't it the Ole Miss White Sox?
There you go. It's like the Philadelphia Bulldogs, if you will.
Exactly.
T.J. McCants was the one who lost his mom at the World Series, right?
Yeah, well, it was after the World Series, and I worked with her. She was the center at the University of West Florida's basketball team when I worked there, so I knew Felicia. Well, we called her Fifi back then, but I knew her way back when, before TJ was even thought of, and just a sweet, sweet, sweet lady. And you know, if you watch the Last In, Last Out video on ESPN, if you don't cry when he runs up into the stands and hugs his mother after the championship game, you just don't have a soul.
Yeah, no, that was a great documentary. I know you recommended it to me, and I've seen it probably twice now. Not the whole way through, but just picking up when it's on there, and it is great, and it does bring tears to your eyes the same way that the coughs are bringing tears to my eyes right now. Your final thoughts, Steve, on SEC Media Days?
My favorite thing was, this is really hard for me to swallow and say it, Nick Saban. I thought he transitioned into the media better than anybody ever thought he could, to the point where he was telling people, it's like, wait, that's it? I got more stuff to talk about. Let me back on the air. I just thought I honestly can't think of a coach who went from coaching to the media that quickly, who picked it up that well. I mean, Urban Meyer didn't do it. Lou Holtz didn't do it. So I really think it was Nick Saban who's done the best job of that.
Yeah, and do you think that the addition of him on College Game Day, I mean, do you think that it's going to take a already great, already phenomenal show to another level?
I think he's going to bring much more knowledge to it.
Yeah.
So, I think he is kind of like, John Madden, who would say, all right, well, I have to cover this game. Let me cover this game as if I'm scouting this game to play this game. And he can just say, okay, well, here's what we need to look at on this side. Here's what we need to look at on that side.
How do you think he would do as a color commentator? Do you think he would even do something like that because of the travel and everything else involved with it?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, the travel involved, he's going to have to do with game day anyway, but I'm just not sure he'd be that great at that commentary, because he would have to say so much, it would take away from the play-by-play guy.
Yeah. He could be a one-man show.
Now, yes, I could see that. Now, I could see him doing a Manning cast.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I could see that on a Saturday. No, that would be fantastic. I'd watch that instead of the regular broadcast of the game.
What do you think about Vandy getting 2 votes? I believe this happened last year too, but 2 votes to win the SEC championship this year. I believe that's 2 years in a row, but I mean, who's letting these people vote, Steve?
The Vandy coach.
The Vandy coach.
Well, I mean, if I could vote, no, I wouldn't do that. But, wow, somebody's having some fun there.
Who is it that gets the votes?
I think it's the media members, your quote, beat writers.
Okay.
So I think there's probably, now there's probably like 30 of them. And I think 2 of them just said, let's have a little fun.
There you go. Let's put some clickbait out there for the old voting. Deion Sanders, he's been in the news. I saw him talking a little bit about it on ESPN today. Do you think that Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, would go to USC after this year when Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders and Shiloh are all going to be out of years of eligibility? Two of them. Well, Shiloh will be out of years of eligibility. Shadur and Travis more than likely going to be headed to the NFL.
Well, first, I don't think he's going to be at Colorado next year.
Regardless, I just think he's going to say, well, my kids are gone. I'm gone too now. Now, going to USC, that could be probably one of the worst decisions they could make. I just don't see him as a long-term. I mean, think about it. When he played, he wasn't long-term. So as a coach, you'd think he's always going to be looking over, hey, look, what's over the hill over here? Where's that grass the greenest at?
Exactly. So I think that would be a bad move for USC. And I honestly think wherever his kids end up, that's where he's going to try to land a job as an assistant.
I mean, he's said that he's not going to the NFL, but we know how coach speak goes and how often it works out like that. What was our most recent? Jim Schlossnagle. Yeah.
Guess what? 3 days ago, Joe Biden said, "I'm staying in the race."
Yes, sir. Man, but so for Deion to think about taking that job at USC, if that were to be a possibility even, that would mean that Lincoln Riley would have to be fired or choose to go elsewhere. Do you think that is in the cards? I personally think that USC is going to have a tough time this year in their first year in the Big Ten.
Well, I think Lincoln Riley this time next year is going to be an assistant in the NFL.
Okay.
Now, what's going to happen at USC is, okay, who wants to be the coach of the fifth best team in the Big Ten?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to look at some, group of 5 coaches. You're going to look at a couple of guys who've been out of it for a while. Hello, Urban Meyer.
That's what I was going to bring the name up. But do you think that do you think Urban Meyer has, I know that he has some left in the tank, but do you think that it's a reality that he would get back into college football? Because obviously the NFL is not the answer.
The NFL ain't going to touch him.
No.
If the NFL touched him, I will touch Bone Crusher. And trust me, Bone Crusher, I love you to death, brother, but I ain't touching you. But I think what could happen is Meyer would look at it. I'm not sure that he wants to go against Ohio State.
Yeah, right.
But he could get back to the bars in Ohio again, though.
Yeah, let's ask his wife, Shelley, about that one.
Another conversational piece that's been kind of rampant over the weekend as the SEC has designated Tennessee to hold on to the UT, and Texas will be TEX as far as their abbreviations go. For you, Steve, who do you consider to be the real UT? Is it Texas or Tennessee?
Well, UT's Texas, but longevity-wise in the SEC, it's Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I would suggest a compromise. Make one TX, make one TN.
Oh, wow. So no UT. Neither one of them gets it. It just goes to...
Neither one of them gets it. And one of just take the postal abbreviations. Take those.
Why don't they,
use area codes?
We could make it like one of those games where the winner gets UT.
Oh.
So you got to win each year, or the next year you are Tennessee versus UT.
Now, I like that idea. I really do like that idea. But then again, you could do the same thing for Ole Miss and Missouri.
Yeah.
And I really wish they would play this year.
Ole Miss and Missouri?
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be a great game?
Yeah. Yes, it would be. I mean, honestly, you look across the top 8 teams in the SEC. I think you can even go further than that, deeper than that, rather. And it's just like the matchups there are tantalizing. like Texas A&M and maybe even Ole Miss. Like that, I think that's a fun game. I think you go Tennessee and just about because Tennessee is a team for me this year that I don't know I don't know if they're overrated, underrated. What's his name? Imaleva, or how do you say the quarterback for Tennessee's name?
Nick.
Yeah, there you go. We'll go with Nick. I don't know. Is he going to be the real deal or not? How does he fill in for the quarterbacks that they've had in the past, rather? So I don't know. That's a team that I just think that the SEC is going to be extremely deep and I think that there's going to be some teams that weren't really on the radar that are making noise, as it happens each and every year.
Well, again, Missouri, I think, is going to make some noise. I think Tennessee's going to make some noise. Look out for, believe it or not, South Carolina.
Nick Harbor.
I just think that they're going to do a little more than people think. I mean, LSU, I think, is going to be a little down this year, but they're still going to beat somebody, and I think they're going to beat Ole Miss.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think Ole Miss loses too. I think Ole Miss loses too. I think they lose to Georgia, and I think they lose to LSU.
Man, and that kind of just continues on with the track record, though, of the big games, the ones that you would really like to see them win. They fall a little short in. I mean, what do you think? Like the whole point for Lane Kiffin this year in the transfer portal in recruiting was to get those 3 stars turned into 4 and 5 stars. Do you think that he accomplished that this year? Like, will they match up better in the area of depth this year with the Georgia Bulldogs?
Oh, they've got the players, they've got the depth, they've got the size this year. They didn't have the size last year. They've got it now with Nolan and Princely Umanyana.
Mm-hmm.
They've got that, and I mean they already had J.J. Pegues and Jared Ivey. They already had that on the defensive front, but they only had 2 last year. Now they've got 4. That's a little bit different.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a lot different, and we'll be looking forward to that matchup. That game's in Oxford this year, right? Georgia.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. Man, that's going to be a big one.
November 5th or November 12th.
Did Ole Miss get Oklahoma or Texas?
Oklahoma at home.
Oh, okay. So that bodes well for them. And no Alabama on the schedule this year. So
no Alabama, no Auburn. I believe no Texas A&M.
How about for Georgia? They go back-to-back weeks, Alabama and then Auburn. I don't know if there could be a bye week in between there, but they get Bama on the road and then Auburn on the road as well.
Georgia gets no breaks in the schedule this year.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough year.
They are the ones who have the biggest gripe next to Florida about the schedule.
At least Georgia has a fighting chance in their games, though, or at least it
Georgia
seems.
also has to go to Texas.
Yeah, they've got a tough one. Steve, I hate it, my man. We're out of time, but of course we'll be back with you next Monday. No Coach Brian Haddad with us next Monday. We'll have him back in a couple of weeks, but excited to chat with you next week, my man.
Hey, sounds good. And again, thank you, David Walker, for taking care of Ole Miss Evie.
Yep, and thoughts and prayers continue for the healing there of Ole Miss Evie, and we'll chat with you next week, Steve. Thank you so much, man.
Sounds good, brother.
Steve Barnes, senior writer for therebelwalk.com. Go check out the website, man. Go learn some quarterback, the position of quarterback from David Walker, best quarterback according to Steve Barnes from Texas A&M. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Our next segment will be our final segment of this Monday afternoon. It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd and Joya. We'll be right back. Keep it locked into ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Mostly clear tonight with a low near 82 and a wind 3 to 7 miles per hour. A chance of thunderstorms and some clouds tomorrow morning, a calm wind and a temperature of 87. About the same in the afternoon and evening, around 89 with likely thunderstorms and very light rain. Likely thunderstorms and moderate rain Wednesday and very warm around 85. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
So you've heard the saying that if you love your job, you'll never have to work? Well, it's true.
I've worked for Brock Lawn and Pest Control for many years. The commitment to the needs of customers
and their commitment to each employee makes Brock a company I'm very proud to be a part of.
Brock's core values are also mine. Give people more than they expect and always honor your promises.
This isn't a job, it's a service to help people live a healthier lifestyle.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting your family.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Are you thirsty?
Oh, yeah, baby.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Call or text now.
Hello.
850-215-6290.
Is anyone there?
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we're back. We've got the Atlanta Braves tonight. 6 o'clock coverage starts right after the Afternoon Underdogs. First pitch tonight, 6:20. Reynaldo Lopez going for the Braves. He'll be going up against Hunter Green of the Cincinnati Reds. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with James Fife, and it is now time for the PCB Hobby Takeover. We've got the owner, Todd Mueller, and Dr. Sharon in the building with us. Todd, Sharon, what is going on, y'all?
Hey, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
And it is a happy Monday. This, I did not have a colonoscopy today, so that was a good news. That's good news. Nice. We got a ton of stuff going on at the shop and all kinds of stuff going on around PCB Hobby, and we're excited to be here and excited to talk about it. I'm going to jump right in with our notes for today. We want to talk about our organized play. We've done a little bit of organization and changing some things. Should be updated on the website under our calendar at PCB Hobby, but we do not do organized play Wednesday nights anymore. We do it Thursday nights is One Piece and Lorcana, and then Friday is Magic the Gathering. And what's really cool is it's the Bloomborough pre-release. That's the brand new Magic set that's coming out. And then, of course, Saturday is our Lorcana Set Championship. So if you're a Lorcana player and you want to be in a championship game, that is this Saturday. And, of course, we have our monthly Pokemon League Challenge, and we have Magic Free Play on Saturday as well. So those are kind of like the what's going on for play at PCB Hobby. We also have some new releases, so to follow on with that, the biggest one is the Magic the Gathering Bloomborough releases August 2nd. So the pre-release is this Friday, and then August 2nd, the actual product comes out for full release and full sale and all that stuff. Again, we're a pre-release play store, so we can do the event and all that stuff previous to when it's actually coming out.
Like a full week ahead of the actual release.
Correct.
You guys have the stuff.
Correct. Exactly. Wow. Yeah. So that's kind of how that works since we're, again, a Play Store. The cool thing about Bloomborough, if you didn't know, if you're a Magic follower, is that it's themed around woodland creatures. So the cards are actually adorable with bunnies, mice, raccoons, stuff like that. So they've kind of changed up a little bit of what.
Not so like dark.
Yeah, I was about to say that seems like a far cry from what I normally.
Right.
So I think they're trying a little something new this time.
Yeah.
Not that the cards won't have all kinds of weird things that you know, spells and all kinds of stuff.
Probably Lorcana is kind of weighing on them too.
Right.
I would have to think.
I would think so. Yeah.
That's family friendly.
Right.
So,
and Disney. Right.
Right.
So we're going to be So we're still streaming live on eBay and, of course, TikTok and whatnot at PCB Hobby. Everybody knows that. We also have all of our socials and stuff like that, again, at PCB Hobby. That's mostly where we run all that stuff. We have single socials as well. We have one for PCB Coins, one for PCB Sports Cards, stuff like that. But in general, at PCB Hobby is where all the information is disseminated, and you can learn about everything that we do and what we have going on. That's pretty much where it's at. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name them, we're on them. TikTok, all the above. But the coolest thing that's coming up is we leave for San Diego Comic-Con tomorrow. The whole group, there's 5 of us going, the whole comic team is going to San Diego for the Super Bowl of comics. And it's going to be lit. It's going to be lit.
That's where is that where y'all are doing the eBay live
yes.
from there?
So we are going to be so what they did is they set up a pop-up eBay Live studio in a art gallery. So in the Gaslight District of San Diego, very high-end district. They're going to basically do a pop-up, and they're going to have a stage. They're going to have actual live people, live audience, and we will be up there with the cover artist John Jang. And John Jang is going to be joining us, and we are going to be running a live eBay stream where you can get his autograph on comic books, and remarks is what they call it, where he draws a picture on the comic books.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
Is he a good artist? Or
he's a great artist. He has done,
He's good.
He has done some amazing work. Sharon can talk a little bit more about this, but some of these artists are ridiculous, and John has done just some sick covers. So we're going to be there. Sharon is going to be there with us, who is in the building with us right now. She's going to be in San Diego with us, so I'm going to let her talk for a second about what she thinks San Diego is going to be like.
It's like you said, it's like a Super Bowl, right, for comic people. So yeah, I don't even know what to expect. That's the funny thing. I mean, I feel like whatever I come up with will be so far from what actually happens.
It's like playing loosely and just whatever happens.
Yes. I look forward to meeting some more cover artists, which is always fun. And I'm so glad that the industry did this because, some years back, this was not a thing. It wasn't a thing. But now there's like a whole cottage industry around these cover artists.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. Like a cover comes out and there'll be like 5 different covers from 5 different cover artists.
Oh.
Same issue on the inside, just a completely different cover on the outside.
Interesting.
So it's a whole cottage industry now. And the artists make a lot of money, not only from their Marvel and DC and in indies, but they also make it from their signings, from the gigs that they do, like the cons. They are like printing money when they go to the cons because they can charge really whatever they want.
Right.
It varies from like $10 to $200 for signing one book.
My goodness.
So, good for them.
They got to draw a picture on it, right?
It's amazing. Well, and that's called a remark, and so they do
and
some of that.
And that's even more expensive.
Yeah. Wow.
Because it's original art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So we're going to go and we're going to have a good time. Like I said, there's going to be 5 of us there. What we generally do is we pick up a lot of what's called exclusives, which Sharon was talking a little bit about, the cover artist doing an exclusive cover for a specific comic book. Again, the comic book's the same inside, but there's several different covers that get created, and some of those are exclusives. And what exclusives means are they can be what's called a ratio or just a limited edition. So they might only make 800 of these, 400 of these.
Wow.
100 of these.
In fact, they have to print, I forget what the print run is, but they have to print a certain amount. So a lot of times I'll buy an exclusive that has a print run of 50, only 50.
So it's kind of like cards in that sense of like
serial number.
So they destroy the other ones.
Right.
Because they've got to print that whole run at the printer. And so then they destroy the rest. So that's how they
limit it.
Right, for the population.
Right.
So I know, it's pretty interesting.
So our interesting thing is we're going to go there and we're going to pick up a lot of exclusives. That's where we're going to spend most of our money is buying exclusives. And we're also going to get some autographs, and we're also going to sell them live on our eBay stream. So not only are we going to have a cover artist on our eBay stream, we are also going to be doing several other streams where you can buy these exclusives through us after us getting them from the convention. So that's the cool thing, is that it's almost like you don't have to go to San Diego Comic-Con, because in the end we will bring it to you.
Yeah, and you don't even have to, if you're from this area, you don't even have to worry about the shipping or anything, because you could just come pick it up at PCB Hobby.
You know, it's one thing for MegaCon in Orlando, but this is in San Diego, for crying out loud. You know, you'd really have to go to a lot of trouble or expense to go to San Diego.
And how different are, like, because you guys go all across the country, quite frankly, all across the world for some of these different cons. How different are the products at each different places?
They vary. It varies on what's hot. So you know, I'm probably going to be in trouble for saying this, but Trump is actually pretty hot right now. So they actually do Trump covers, where they have, you know, they make him a character, like a comic book character.
Oh, okay.
They've venomized him. They've carnaged him. These are all characters, but they made it look like him. But in that,
it's kind of like putting his face on, you know, the body of 50 Cent.
Yeah, just something like that. There you go. You know what I'm saying? So they do a lot of cool covers, and so Trump will be something. They do sports figures sometimes, and then sometimes they just do really cool art for a character, like G.I. Joe, or Cobra Commander, or Doctor Doom, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they're limited covers, and they're just really cool. So the exclusive game is a lot of fun. And the funny thing is that in our department, Sharon's actually in charge of the exclusive acquisitions. So she buys most of the exclusives. She's also in charge of most of what we blue label, CGC, and yellow label, which is grading. Us grading comic books. Right. And so she's in charge of a lot of that area. So she sees so much stuff, so many different things, that it's amazing the type of inventory that we started to create for the company. Number one. Number two, we offer it on the streams. So, you know, Sharon the other day walked in and said, look, we've got, you know, these 3 boxes of exclusives, you know, that we've bought and that we've sent off a bunch to get graded and stuff like that, but we have extras. You know, can you guys move these extras? And Bill and I looked at each other and said, absolutely, let's go. And so we went on the stream and we just started selling the extra exclusives. Again, bringing the exclusives to you when you can't even get most of these anymore. Most of the stuff she buys is sold out after a day or two. It's gone, right? I mean, would you not agree?
Yeah, sometimes within seconds, actually.
Right.
So I have to put it on my calendar exactly what time the drop is. They're just like tennis shoes, right? A lot of people are like sneakerheads, and it's the same thing.
Back in the day, we used to have to wait outside of physical stores, and now it's like you've got to wait on your computer.
Now you have to have bots and everything, you know, but it's like
crazy.
that. It can sell out within seconds.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. We're going to be doing a lot of streaming, and we're going to be doing a lot of sending off to get stuff graded. So we're super excited about that. We're going to have a lot of new inventory, and so again, if you're into comic books, you need to come by and see us. We're always switching out the wall. We're always changing things up. And what you guys don't know is I got back on Monday. I was here Monday after my procedure last week, and I ended up the next morning leaving at 5 a.m. and going to Mississippi and buying another 25,000 comic books.
25,000.
We have comic books coming out of our ears.
We have 75,000 comic books in our warehouse right now being processed for you guys.
And that's like modern vintage.
You call everything.
Yeah.
Everything in between. So if you're looking for something, we probably have it.
Yeah.
Probably do. Finding it's another story, but we probably have it.
Which happens on the stream all the time. You know, people are like, oh, you know, do you have Dr. Doom? Do you have something by Peach Momoko, another popular cover artist?
Gotcha.
And the guys usually say, okay, wait, let me go back and check. And so they'll run back in the room and see, you know, what we have and graded and, you know, or raw, one of the two.
And some of these aren't cheap. I mean, we sold a $400 book yesterday. I mean, some of these are not cheap because the artists are rare.
Yeah, this Peach Momoko, she does not go to many cons, so she doesn't do many signings.
And
so therefore, when you have something signed, it's just like sports, right? Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So with are there certain comic books like where maybe you obviously I know that you guys know the value of it once you get it and all that stuff, but are there certain ones that people ask you about and you know you don't even know that you have it and then you end up finding it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It happens all the time.
75,000 comic
Somebody
books.
asked the other day for you know Tomb of Dracula. We're like, I know we've seen some. And hold on, let me look. We really do right here. And we showed them. They bought it. And it's not all expensive stuff. I mean, everybody needs to know. You need to log on to the feed, PCB Hobby, when we're streaming comics.
eBay Live,
on
right?
eBay Live,
Yeah.
right? And when we're streaming comics, because you'd be shocked how many $3 books we sell.
Yeah.
We sell
it
books.
runs the gamut.
It runs the gamut. We sell $3
We sold
books.
a $1,000 set last
And we sold
week.
a $1,000 set that she had gotten done. Really, it was a
Crazy.
really rare
Crazy.
set. But anyways, so we got a lot, and a lot of different range. So this is not something that you have to have a lot of money for to be able to get into and to have fun.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's just
Even
really
for
not.
a decent slab can be like $60.
Yeah, $65. I mean, you can get a nice 9/8, cover of, Batman or Superman or any of the regular things. You can get Venom. A lot of people like that. A lot of people like Spawn. You can get a lot of value slabs and that are high grade, 9/8, and it's not that expensive. So it's a fun hobby to be in. I've gotten more involved and having a lot more fun in it. And so myself and Bill and Sharon, and then of course we've got Chris and Zach, and like I said, the 5 of us are going to go, and we all live, eat, breathe comic books now. I mean, we just really get into it. So I kind of wanted to have a show today where we kind of talk about that line of business and kind of what we're doing in that, and what we're available to get a lot of great stuff for you guys.
Now, was this something that you were already into, comic books, or has this been
It's a very long story.
grown on you?
It's a very long story. It's a very, very long story, but I'll tell it in 2 minutes. All right. Basically, my brother got into comic books, and he started teaching me stuff about it, and actually came and lives here now, and brought his acumen in comics, the comic world, to the shop. So we kind of started deciding that we should order comic books and maybe toy in it and stuff like that. But what we really decided to do was we brought Sharon on board. So Sharon was our communications director, but we moved her out of that and gave her the project of starting to get the comic books in order and kind of take over that whole thing. So we've only been doing this since October.
Right.
Only since
I
October.
know that.
So it hasn't even been a year.
Infantile
stages, right? It really, in the scheme of things. And so she's kind of built it up. She's learned a lot of lessons, looked at a lot of things, figured out a lot of things. And so we've kind of got our lines and our lanes set down now. And really, in the end, she kind of came to us partners, Bill and myself, and said, look, this is what we kind of need to do. First of all, you guys need to get involved. Number 2, we need some employees. We need some people, some manpower. Mm-hmm. And then number 3, we need to do this, and this. And so we listened, and in a short 3 to 4 months, it's been,
yes,
we've been crushing it. We had our best week ever in streaming this week. We had our highest day streaming this week in comics. And so, it's starting to really gel and come to fruition. And with that having been said, we actually need another streamer. So if you are looking for a job and you want to stream comic books, or you know anything about comic books, come on down. We are interested. In fact, we just hired 2 more people. We hired a streamer for sports cards. Guy's name is James. Super fellow. Really high energy, good energy. Yeah. So it's going to be fun with that. And then we hired AJ for the store to help with nightly play and stuff like that, which is the husband of one of our employees in the coin department.
Let's go.
So yeah, it's kind of funny. We have a lot of married couples who work for us.
I think we have maybe 6.
My goodness, the Christmas party is supposed to be off the chain.
Yeah. Totally. So anyway, we got a lot of stuff going on like that, and a lot of people coming on board. A few people have left us, but it's been good. Everything's been great, and we've been having a good time with it. But we're really gearing up, and we're really pushing the comic books. And look out, because once we get the comic books on the straight and narrow, we're going to be jumping to TCGs and sports cards, and we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in those arenas too.
All right, so headed to San Diego tomorrow. When should people be looking on? Because I want to check this out.
Wednesday evening, 6 Pacific, 8 Central.
8 Central.
So basically log in to eBay 8 Central and go to eBay Live and you'll see us live.
I cannot wait
8
for
Central,
that.
just try every day for the next 4 or 5 days. And other than tomorrow we're going to be, actually traveling and stuff like that. But
there you go.
Ultimately, you can catch us on there and we're going to be doing all kinds of streaming and all kinds of fun, a lot of exclusives, like I said. And so you're going to be able to pick up some really cool stuff if you're into comic books.
Awesome stuff, man. Now, are you guys going to be back next Monday?
Next Monday, we're
Possibly
flying back next Monday. I probably will not be back to do the PCB Hobby Takeover. However, Julia will be here.
All right.
So she can come give everybody the rundown and give you guys the update of what we did and how we did, because I'm sure she'll call us and ask us, number one. And then number two, on Wednesday, I leave again. So next Wednesday, I leave again for Indianapolis for Gen Con. And Gen Con is where we're going to be streaming TCGs on the eBay stage.
Wow.
And we're going to be doing it 4 days in a row. We are their main attraction.
Let's go, man. PCB Hobby doing big things, not just here in PCB, but across the land in the United States. Well, Dr. Sharon, Todd, thank you guys for joining us here on the PCB Hobby Takeover. We thank you guys for giving us some of your time, and we'll chat with you 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I'll be 2 weeks.
All right, 2 weeks, and we'll have you back because we won't have Coach Brian Haddad with us next Monday either. I believe he's still traveling. Yeah, so, but we'll get back to it. Guys, thank you so much for riding along with us today. We've got a little best of segment coming your way, and then it will be the Braves and the Cincinnati Reds. Whit Merrifield's already injured day to day after taking a ball off of his finger there, but the x-rays came back negative. You've been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Have a great day, y'all.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
I said I love it, Coach.
Hey,
Y'all are the best.
record that. Record that.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't like talking about ourselves.